Hey guys, welcome to another Trade Genius podcast. Bob's away, so you just got me today. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to look at the chart. We're going to dive into the technicals, and we're going to talk about where this thing is going. So let's dive in.
Trade Genius.
Hey buddy, it's Bob with Trade Genius. Hey, it is holiday season and our holiday specials are running right now. Just promo code HOLIDAY. You already blew it. You missed the Black Friday specials, but this is your second chance to take advantage of some of the best pricing that we do for the year. Check us out, tradelikeagenius.com, tradegenius.co, tradegeniusacademy.com. All roads lead to Trade Genius. Check us out. Incredible deals. Thanks for listening.
All right, so let's just dive right into the chart. And one thing I want to point out to you guys is the fact that we went ahead and broke down through the 50 period moving average over here currently. But I wanted to show you guys relative to what's happened in the past, especially since we're still in an uptrend structure overall from the lows down below 16,000, is that when we have these breaks, and I'm looking at the WMA20, which is this blue line, breaking through the 50 SMA. This is on a daily chart, and when you get those bearish crosses, we typically get a retest of the 50 period moving average. Now what we do there is hugely important for breaking higher. So as you can see over here, back in December, we actually wicked over it, but the daily could not close over it, and we pushed back down again and had to consolidate further before ultimately reclaiming that and getting a leg higher. We had another bearish cross of that back in March where we broke below it. We came down and basically had a sharp move back higher over it with a great daily close over it, and that produced a nice move higher, pushing us up toward that 30K mark. We stayed up there, and then we broke back below it with another bearish cross, pushed down, and then we had another session where we broke over it with a nice daily close, and that pushed up for several other days, and that pushed us higher into 31.5. We had another bearish cross again in August of 2023, pushed us down. Now it had a big break, and we didn't get back over it for a while. That took all the way to the end of September before we broke over it with a nice daily close over it, and we held above it, and also held above the WMA20. So it's really important that you recover the simple moving average 50 over the daily. Now you guys can see here, it's toward the afternoon here, Eastern Standard Time, and we have currently a daily candle coming off of a head and shoulders pattern as well, and breaking over that neckline. This is a bullish pattern, guys, and basically what you're looking for is a measured move from the head to the neck and doing that same distance to the upside. That's going to challenge these highs here off of this big inverted hammer that we got on the daily, and that was basically sell the news on the ETF, right? And I think the sell the news guys thought that they had won and the market had spoken and we were going to roll over. But I'm of the mind that you typically, when Bitcoin's trying to top out, you do see this type of formation. You do kind of see the Eiffel Tower formations at the highs, but I think this is going to challenge at least part of this wick. And if not, it's going to take that wick high out, and we're not done with this move yet. And I think you have to watch out for Bitcoin. If it starts to move over 48, then you have to be aware that this thing could get going. And the other thing that you have to look at is the fact that the S&P 500 is starting to break out from like a 3-year consolidation. So if the S&P 500 is going to break out from a major multi-year consolidation, that's going to bode well for Bitcoin as well, because Bitcoin tends to go with risk on assets. So that would be bullish for Bitcoin as well. So if we drill down into lower time frames, you can see here as well, I think breaking back over this candle here is extremely bullish, and this whole zone here needs to see a break over it as well. So we had a high back here in January 16th of 43,569, and we're going to basically need to see a close over that. If we wick over it, that's not good. We're going to need to see a close. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to backfill all of this candle that we broke down from, and we would essentially fill that and repair that backfill up to 45,600. At that point, you kind of want to see whether that level is going to reject or going to flip to support. And if it does, I think you're going to attack this wick on this daily bar that basically marked the current high was 47,080 up to about 49,100. And I expect that zone to be in play if we flip 45,500. So all in all, I think things look really bullish. You have a bullish inverted head and shoulders here that you're currently breaking out. So what you don't want to see if you are a bull is that we close back under the 50 period moving average on the daily. and that number is 42,815. So that's what we want to see hold here. I think that's a really important level that you don't get any higher time frame closes under at this point. And then I think we start to push up. So again, if we get up in this area, don't be surprised if Bitcoin starts to push higher. Don't underestimate this thing, especially if the S&P 500 continues to hold its multi-year breakout level on the SPX. The next major area would be to attack is going to be, if you look back here on the chart, you'll notice that a lot of times if Bitcoin's in a proximity of an area where we had a major breakdown, it's going to come back and test it. So the next place that really my eye goes to is 56,369. And as you can see, Bitcoin, when it's moving, it can move very, very quickly. So, this could happen in a short amount of time. It doesn't have to take weeks and weeks and weeks to play out. You got to understand, we've been building off the lows here. This structure has been playing out and building and building and building. And Bitcoin, typically when it starts to get toward the tail end of a move, so let's just say we're formulating a blow off move here, then what we're going to find is that these areas that you're consolidating and creating these stair steps on are going to start to shrink in duration, and you're going to start to see the move progressively go higher, and each pause is going to be briefer and briefer. So I think if we do get that move, we do clear it, and we do make new highs, then I think these are the levels that you're really going to have to start to look for. And ultimately, guys, we could potentially challenge the all-time highs, and that would be abnormal for the market cycle. But keep this in mind too. We've shown you guys a lot of bearish data in terms of the macroeconomic picture. There's a lot of things printing in the recession zone. And so it's not uncommon for markets to make new highs right before a recession. It is common for things to get a type of short squeeze. I think a lot of people will misinterpret a move to new all-time highs thinking that this is going to be the most bullish halving that they've ever seen. And in reality, we're just doing kind of what markets do ahead of things like a recession. So just bear that in mind as we put these moves in. If we see these types of moves toward the back half of the year, we could give back a lot of gains, all right? Especially if the jobs data rolls over and things like that. We have a lot of geopolitical tension. Things escalated with Iran over the weekend when we had some U.S. servicemen killed in a drone attack by some groups that are backed by Iran. So now we have to see if that's going to, pop off, and that's going to raise volatility as well. Just keep in mind, whenever there's a new escalation in conflicts, typically we'll have a short-term pullback in the markets, but then more often than not, that pullback initially gets eaten back, and the markets tend to be bullish after those things start. So the outlook here would be that we hold the breakout level, we hold over those all-time highs on the S&P 500. If we do dip back under them, it should be very brief, and we would expect a move back over that. If not, then there's a potential where all of this movement over the previous all-time high on the S&P 500 is simply a bull trap. And if that is the case, I would expect Bitcoin to then finally pull back to a larger extent and make a move quite a bit lower, actually. So barring that, I think you have to be bullish here. The structure tells you to be bullish. And so I think that is the way you play it going forward. All right, guys, well, let me know your thoughts below. If you have any questions, post them below. Thanks again for all the views. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you then. Take care.
Trade Genius.